yeah, what I like to do is try and, at least to start anyway, is to make a couple of characters and using walks of life. I think you're familiar with this, right? With walks of life. Yeah. Okay. So let's make a couple. Let's make a couple of characters in that case. So we'll go randomize. We'll randomize a class. So we've got a scientist. Milas Lever. Okay, cool. All right. So I thought this time, do you want to give me like a D20, Gabriel? Let's see what comes back. I'm curious now. And yeah, we'll do that to choose the background. 5. All right, cool. All right, so 5 on walks of life is, go down here, corpo shill. Oh, okay, this could be interesting. So we have corpo shill, loyal, paranoid, obsessive scientist. Yeah, this sounds like, let's check this in the notes before I forget. All right, let's try and answer these questions. What questions did you slave away at? And how did your office treat you? Okay. So let me see here. So we've got astro mining, computers, industrial equipment, planetology. Planetology study. Okay. Study of planets and other celestial bodies. So yeah, if you have any ideas, just throw them as comments. That'd be awesome. There's something here about, to me, maybe there's like something about like finding like potential planets for something. Maybe mining. Yeah. Yeah, that's, yep, exactly, kind of like the same as what I was thinking. Yeah, so there's like a, there's kind of like an analysis here of like what is, yeah, there's kind of like this cost benefit analysis of how far there's potential benefits. Asteroid mining, computers, industrial equipment. So we're saying that he does, like, he needs to actually go there, or he's the one just nerding and going, according to our equipment and sensors, the equivalent of what would now be like, doing satellite image analysis and going, okay, well, I think these are here, or some other sort of sensor. I think to make it more interesting, this guy would probably go out there, sort of like ground truthing, as it were. Ground truthing if the resources are there to like, yeah, improve future analyses. Yeah, I kind of like that. Yeah, some sort of like audit as well about like how the projects are going. So there's an element of like analysis at sort of like back at the office, and actually ground truthing and going out there, maybe prior and also during the projects as they're going, to understand, yeah, are we getting enough that we'd think? Which would kind of tie into, these kind of tie to like a couple of, well, I mean, it ties to any like mining scenario, but a couple of things kind of come to my mind as like picket line tango, because I think in that situation they are protesting because the company is not is holding back on rations because the mine is not being productive enough. So you know, there's some involvement there, I think. All right, let's look at this next question. How did your office treat you? Well, you know, essential worker, you know, incredibly important for doing this prospecting and etc. Halitosis. Sure. Nice at a distance. Yeah. Okay. Why not? Why not? Let's see what else he's got. Trench shovel. I mean, that kind of works with the prospecting. Fix me first. Oh, okay. Yeah. Interesting. So maybe think nice at a distance, self-important, I think would be quite good here. Like thinks of himself being like absolutely essential, which, I mean, he kind of has like an important, she has a pretty important job, I would say. What else do they have? Lab coat, cybernetic. Not sure if the Android kind of fits in here. Oh, maybe it's like maybe the diagnostic scanner fits with like Android mining, or miners in this case, and equipment. What else have we got? Yeah, I think that fits quite nicely, actually. So now to answer, how does the office treat them? So if they're essential worker, self-important, maybe, because in my mind, this person's like, you know, thinks they are like second in command. but really they're more like a principal scientist, perhaps. Yeah. So I'd say like revered by juniors, but board of directors don't like how she's necessary. Okay, let's clean up the rest of this. So 5 plus to intellect. So that becomes 44. All good, Gabriel. Minus 10 body or sanity. So I think there's a coin toss. So I would probably go with minus 10 body. So it goes down to 12. Bit squishy on the body. Gain computers. So I got computers already, and so I guess I would have to gain mathematics here. Gain mathematics. Gain skill. All right. And we have this extra trauma response. Make a panic check whenever you or an ally break any job rules or site regulations. Okay, yeah, that fits quite well with this person, with this auditor. Fits with this auditor role. Cool. All right, so that is that character, which is Milas Levar, and we're going to create another one. So let me just check that that works. There, so we've got Milas Levar. Okay, so we've got another one. Okay. Just going to make another Mothership character. So yeah, feel free to drop comments or anything or questions regarding Mothership. Be interested in what everyone is playing and things like that. recently I played Akigara, and I think this weekend gonna play Plant-Based Paranoia as well. So be curious what people are playing. Right. So let's go with play a character. We'll randomize it again. We'll random class it. Oh, we had a scientist last time. Let's do a different one. Play a character. Randomize. Let's go Teamster this time. And so we've got Chase with a C, I guess, here. What's happened there? That's weird. Ah, that's why. Pamphlets and text. Cool. All right, cool. Cat, okay, haven't had that before. Okay, so we've got a Teamster who has botany skills, industrial equipment skills, pathology, okay, causes and effects of diseases, and we've got this 0G, very interesting. Now we're going to use Walks of Life, this pamphlet here, to determine what type of Teamster this person is, or, well, what background this person has. So if we go back here and we roll a d20, we have a 17. So 17 is a student. So you are still discovering your potential, putting yourself through formal studies. So just created this Teamster here, and using walks of life, I created this background here with student, which is coming from this pamphlet here, if you haven't seen it before. And I've ended up with student. So student is focused, youthful, cocksure. You're still discovering your potential, putting yourself through formal studies to hone a skill. What made you choose your academic field? And how well have you performed as a student? So we have botany, industrial equipment, pathology, and zero-G. So to me, this sounds like going to potentially hostile planets with unusual diseases. Yeah, if you've got any ideas, I'm more than open to them. Yeah, especially those perhaps like toxic or without gravity, of course, with the zero-G. So this is like general background to this person with the botany. We have a trinket, harmonica, okay, interesting. And we've got this heart. All right. Then we've got, wow, I didn't know Teamsters could get combat shotguns, but that's cool. Yeah, since there's a few people here, I thought that maybe we could start a character from scratch. So, all right, let's start here. We'll create a random one. So, does anyone have any preference of a class? Like Marine, Scientist, or Teamster, or Android? Any suggestions? Happy to do any of them. All right, I'll do random class. Okay, so it says Android here. But instead, I'm going over to Walks of Life here, and we'll find out what type of Android this Android is. So we will roll a 1d5. Unless someone wants to roll one, I'm happy to take a dice value from someone. All right, I'm looking for a 1d5 if someone wants to provide me one, just to help me with deciding how a character should look, or basically the Android background to a character. All right, let's go for a roll. Okay, we'll roll 1. And a roll 1 is, okay, so this is your cognitive type Android. So I'll go back here and we'll put this in the notes. And then go back here. So as a data processing unit, you're often deployed to assist with specialty work like a portable terminal. What sort of work have you assisted in? What confidential secrets do you hold? All right, cool. All right, so let's go like this a little bit. Often deployed to assist with specialty work, like a portable terminal. What have you helped with? What confidential information do you have? Okay, so I am a cerebral, systematic, literal, cognitive android who has archaeology, computers, industrial equipment, linguistics, mathematics. All right. So this is kind of like in the sort of like C3PO type arena here. Maybe not with the skills, but a little bit with linguistics. So what have I helped with here? So I think archaeology, maths, industrial equipment. Maybe it's like going through abandoned like abandoned colonies, perhaps, and salvaging like important equipment for a company that doesn't want to send people. I think that kind of suits quite well. Confidential secrets. Well, okay, secrets of oh, cool. Thanks for Raxfiel. That's cool. Thank you for the feedback. That's cool. Yeah, feel free to ask me stuff about other things and other parts of the content, or maybe yeah, like what are you playing? I'm curious about what people are playing always, because there's always new things that come out, or maybe old things that I've never come across. So yeah. Oh, cool. Nice. Nice. Have you have you GM'd before? I'm aware I'm going to be like potentially making you type quite a bit if I'm going to ask you a lot of questions, but cool. Nice. Yeah, Moonbase Blues is a lot of fun. I quite like it. I think, yeah, just like tying up like the start and the end is really important. Like I find that I had to sort of close the what would you say, like the logic loop, I would say is probably the best way to put it. Yeah, that's what I found quite hard, because the pamphlet doesn't give you a lot to say. It's sort of like, okay, well, they wake up in this dome and there's a crashed ship outside. But yeah, there's no like, how did that happen? Are you leaning towards one of them? Like, are you leaning towards running Moonbase Blues or leaning towards running Epsilon 14? Two of my players have seen one. Oh yeah, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, you kind of have to, especially with those ones, because so many people are introduced to those so early, is that there is a little bit of like, okay, which ones haven't you played, and then figuring out how that, when to play with who. However, after a while, that becomes less of a problem because you just end up choosing like ones that are that often people have never heard of before, especially if they're just players. But if they run things, then it's a little bit different. Then you sort of have to be a little bit more choosy about those. So, yeah. I have a recommendation for you, which is a really cool one. Is, if you haven't heard of it, is Akigara. Like pretty easy to run. There was like one little thing that I had to close the loop for, but it was really, really cool. So I would recommend looking at that one as something that is a pamphlet. So it's two pages. There's a lot of, like, it helps you a lot. Like, it gives you really good descriptions of like how to run it. And there are some really obvious like trigger points about, okay, when this happens, then these happen, this thing happens, as well as yeah, I don't know why people haven't heard of it. I think it's just one of those things where it's kind of like fallen through the cracks a little bit. It's not quite as famous as the other ones, I guess, is probably the right way to put it. But I would say it's a great module. So yeah, let me know if you would like me to give you like a real brief description, but I'll try and be very light on spoilers, and I can tell you a little bit about it, sort of like the hook of it, if you like. All right, I'm trying to figure out like what other secrets would a cognitive android have. There's a data processing unit. This is all good. Has a pet. Okay. Maybe like works alone a lot. Yeah, mentioned most file. I haven't run it, but I want to. Under the Skin, I'm waiting for someone else to run it, so I'm a player. And then VR Dead, yeah, like VR Dead sounds amazing. It's like a ton of fun. So yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I think I can't remember if I decided that I really want to run that or someone else had picked it up from my group, because we have a good group that Wardens is kind of like passes the baton a little bit. Oh, Dead Weight. I always forget this. Like, there's so many titles with dead in it. So I kind of forget which ones these are. Oh, by Norgard. Yeah. Norgard's a Kiwi as well. He's from New Zealand. So yeah, I've been recommended that one as well, for sure. It sounds good. Okay, Akigara. The hook is that there is a distress call, and the distress call is actually a lure to lure the players to check out this ship. And there is basically a group of cultists that are worshipping an AI, and the players have to figure out like why that's been going on. Yeah, and yeah, it's a really cool premise, and it does get a bit weird. Not necessarily for the cultist part, but more like why they're trying to lure people there in particular. And if I explained it further, it would be a little bit more like spoilery, to be honest. But definitely worth picking up. A really cool module, and I would say, apart from like, there's one part which is kind of like, how would I put it? There's kind of like this conveyor belt thing going on between a few rooms, and I had to, for me, it was, I had to figure out like a logic for that part of Akigata. But apart from that, distress call is really easy to fit it in somewhere or like create an intro for. And because the actual Akigata is the name of the ship, it's like this massive ship, and the player's ship lands there, and then of course to get out is like, okay, well, we have to go back to our ship, and yeah, so that's kind of the deal with Akigata. It's really cool. But yeah. Yeah. Let me see. What else did you say? See, VR dead weight. So Niels, yes, they are available. So this is only the second one that I've done, but they will be just left to be as they are published. But I am also like cutting up some of the ones from last week to be sort of like long form, like first look at a couple of things I did last week. So yes, is the answer. Yeah, Picket Line Tango is a lot of fun. Like, it definitely requires a few sessions. So yeah, be prepared for that. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, like trying, like especially initially, because it's just like kind of weird. Yep, that should be on my channel in the live tab. So if you, I think by default, it'll just go to videos. But if you go to live, but that brings a good point. I should write that down. I think I can like configure my channel to show past live on that page as well. So I'll do that. Yeah, so Picket Line Tangos, yeah, a lot of fun. It's also like a good read, and yeah, I ended up creating this sort of like algorithm for how Pickup Line Tango works, because for me there's just like a little bit too much to hold in my brain. Like, if people do this, then they do a little bit of investigation, and then at the end of the investigation, okay, now what? And so there's a few like, okay, if this happens, then like there's a couple like mini sort of, I would say, like encounter type events, and then after that you have to make some sort of like more like strategic changes to the environment. Like, if this person died, then these things happen to the environment, which are a little bit wider or more broad than just that little, like the encounters, for example. Because I think even from the start there is like I can't remember, it's like a 10% chance of something happens. But yeah, it's interesting to run. It's kind of different because you're basically like walking around a town, but with this space elevator in Picket Line Tango, yeah, you've got this town, but you can't leave, so you're stuck in a way. And yeah, the corporation that you're working for has barricaded no, you go in, the corporation doesn't want you to leave, and then I think the protesters barricade the space elevator, so you're kind of stuck. Although I'm surprised, I wonder if there's a way where you could like negotiate your way out or something like that. But I haven't run the sort of like the second part of that, or like the very ending. We didn't really resolve it in the time that I ran it, because I ran it twice for a group, but we didn't get it far enough where it's like, okay, like here's like this ending they got through that initial phase, and then yeah, that's true. Very creative. I think there's sometimes you do find that some modules get, like I saw actually a post on the subreddit where they said, it's like, give me modules or suggestions. Yeah, suggestions for modules that doesn't infect people and you turn into something else, like basically sort of like a sort of like the thing type premise. Like, give me something else, because like you could argue that Epsilon 14 is a little bit like that. Moon-based blues kind of a little bit. Yeah, so there's a few things where you can see some patterns, and then like the scenarios, of course, like, you know, going to a mining colony, going to a distress call, going to a derelict spaceship, going to a planet, going, you know, so there's some situations that, you know, you might feel kind of like a little bit limited. But each of those comes with their own like perils as well. Like if you're on a ship or a station, it's like, okay, well, you know, you can get spaced, right? You know, especially if there are NPCs or something like that. And they come with their own dangers as well, depending on, you know, who you're up against. Are you up against NPCs who are just human, or are you up against like alien monster, or whatever? So yeah, but yeah, I'm always surprised. I think actually the module that I looked at a little bit more last week was this one here, actually, called So You've Been Chump Dumped, which is a great module. I haven't run it yet. I've read it and went through it, but the premise is that your group has been scammed and you've been thrown out into the void of space with vac suits, and the ship draws you in from it by its gentle gravity, and but you have to figure out why this ship is basically like abandoned and has all this like crazy science stuff going on. So that's quite cool. And that was kind of a nice sort of premise. It's just like, okay, well, you don't have a ship. You're just like drawn into this ship and you have no idea what's inside. Whereas like a distress signal, you have your own ship normally. So yeah, sorry, just adding things to people's wish lists here. But yeah. Yeah, do you play like in person or mostly? Sorry, I should give you the title of that one. Yeah, do you play in person or online mostly, Rafael? Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I haven't got into Foundry. Like, yeah, I think I would be like way too fiddly with like trying to sort it out. Like, how easy do you find Foundry, or have you got like tons of experience with Foundry from other games and stuff? Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, Picket Line Tango would be quite. Yeah, well, I can ask. Would Picket Line Tango would that be quite unusual for your group to play something like that? Yeah, the learning curve. I'm like, do I want to go through that? That's the thing, right? Just for other people, I'm just like halfway through like creating this character using this Walks of Life pamphlet. So yeah, if you're not familiar with Walks of Life, really it just expands. It gives you like a very easy way to expand your character creation. So the short of it is that you create your character as you would normally, and then you roll a background. And so with the background, you get maybe some bonuses or maybe some penalties to your character. And then it like asks you a couple of questions about a backstory. So depending on your background, it'll ask you particular things. So in my case over here, I have got this, like I ended up with this cognitive android background. So androids are a little bit unique, is that you don't really use them as a class through here, but you do. So for example, you would choose like a Teamster, and that Teamster is actually an android, but it's like an android Teamster, rather than just saying, oh, it's just an android by itself as a class. So what ends up happening is that I think it kind of layers on this kind of interesting perspective here. Oh, nice. Yeah. That's important. Yeah, I think I will probably bite the bullet with Foundry at some point, I think, because just some of the stuff with like Fog of War and the lighting stuff is really awesome. Yeah, I would love to use that. That would be so much fun. But yeah. So yeah, with this particular one, I've got all this information on the right-hand side here with this character. So we've got this cognitive android. Oh, okay, good to know. Do you know, is it at the same points in the year, or is it just like randomly goes on sale? Like, is it like a Black Friday and something else, or? So we've got this as a data processing unit. You are often deployed to assist with specialty work, like a portable terminal. And then this is a background question. What sort of work have you assisted in? And we have this other one here. What confidential secrets do you hold? Okay, good to know. Thanks, Raphael. That's awesome. Cool. I'll try and remember that. But good to know that it happens. Have you used this, Raphael? Have you used Walks of Life before? I am wary of giving you something else on your list. Oh, okay, cool. All right, maybe I can abandon this guy. Would you like to create one instead? Oh, no, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go create like that, randomize. All right, yeah, choose a class. So choose a class that is not Android. And then you can give me some dice rolls, perhaps. So we've got Marine Scientist or Teamster. All right, yeah, Teamsters are always fun. All right, so the next thing is can you roll a D20? Yeah, exactly, the classic. Exactly. Apparently you have a cat. So a D20, and then that will, okay, cool, 13, perfect. Let's head over to this over here. So this is what it looks like. It's just this 2-page pamphlet. And so 13 is up here. So 13, it actually works quite well with a Teamster, to be quite fair. So we've got service worker, and some adjectives. We've got tired, cheerful, flighty. So we'll just add them to our notes here. And then we've got, you are one of the cogs in the system that keep the world running. You've learned to deal with all sorts in this social yet thankless line of work. What is your job? How do you react to unexpected kindness? Okay, that's interesting. And then we've got some things that will more like mechanical that we'll do in a moment. So let's chuck this stuff in here. We'll just format it a little bit. Social worker. Yeah, true. All right. So let's figure out what you are first. So we've got service worker, and your current skills at the moment, you've got industrial equipment, mechanical repair, rim-wise 0G, and as part of being or rolling service worker, of course it's like you can just use this as inspiration. Like I think there's another one there which is like socialite, and it's like, why are you a celebrity? And then I completely changed it to being this like academic scientist guy who wanted to be well known for his publishing and his works, but he was just like not successful at all. so it's very much just like using it to spring up some ideas for you rather than going, okay, well, you must be this thing. So I'll let you think about like what areas or what types of jobs this person could have. In the meantime, there are some things that you must give. Well, technically it's optional, but in this case, we'll give them these things. So gain linguistics. So we'll just gain that skill. We have +2 permanent stress. So this minimum is no longer 2. And then we've got +5 sanity save. And then we've got +5 fear save. Okay, so they've seen some stuff, let's say. So what could we say? So obviously we've got something like a mechanic, right? Some sort of mechanic somewhere. Linguistics. So why would a mechanic need linguistics? Maybe like works on a station. With that mixes with many cultures. Yeah, what other jobs sort of fit here? Teamster job to pay for, oh, yeah, very nice. Okay, so working towards, yeah, higher education. What would, yeah, do you think their skills like lean towards that? Like, are they, is it learning to do one of the others? So like you could say that, oh, they're currently got like a lower paying job, but they're later trying to be like an expert, like mechanical repair, and like potentially, what would mechanical, like going towards like robotics or cybernetics or engineering, like something like that, you could do that. Or maybe you could go the linguistics route and rimwise to go with like psychology. So maybe maybe they are the social worker perhaps, because you could go psychology, and I think after that you could go to sophonology, if I remember correctly. I think that's the one where you are analyzing further in the field. Okay, yeah, yeah, sure. I mean, Yeah, take your pick. You can choose. So ontology, I think, is the Android one, I think. Study of behavior and mind of inhuman entities. There you go. So yeah, higher education. Higher education with, what's the deal here? Higher education, so it could be like towards engineer or towards like psych. Something else that we need to check out. They have a cat. So that's interesting. Okay, trinket. Patched overalls, personalized. Okay, overalls tells me sort of fits in with the teamster quite well. And then we've got patch. Okay, I'm a love machine. I mean, you could fit either of those like into, yeah, want to get psychology. Okay. Yeah, I think the love machine, I think, usually that's attached to someone, using it in the way, like the sexual way. But I would say that maybe I'm a love machine being like love and kindness type thing, perhaps. So maybe that's the way that it's going. Yeah, for sure. She is definitely a hugger. I think that that answers this question very well. She's a hugger. I think you don't even need to explain that even further to say that how do you react to unexpected kindness. So random stranger compliments her, she hugs them. Yeah, I think that works quite well. Yeah, so with walks of life is a lot of fun. I really love it. So the reason why, yeah, exactly, just builds in personality, gives you just a little bit of something, and it gives you like some motivations. So like if you were to think about, okay, what's the motivation for that character? It's going, okay, well, I want to study towards higher education, and I'm sick of being a cog in the machine, feeling horrible, like isolated perhaps, and I'm going to go towards psychology and understanding like why people like myself are like that, and then hopefully going on to help others. So, I mean, to me, that kind of fits quite nicely into that. And I find just doing like choosing a class and then just randomly giving a background is awesome. Like I find it so much fun. And so like there's some extra notes about like if you need to swap skills, for example, because sometimes, yeah, but I would say that it's not too difficult to get like a good outcome. I always find like it's like I always get a way better outcome than I think. Yeah, that's quite cool. I haven't played a lot of, well, I think I've tried to play solo a couple of times, but I've given up. So I think I should do it again. Have you played what is it called? Like there's a solo Mothership thing like 1000 Light, I think. 1000 Light. 1000 Empty Light. Yeah. Have you played that? Yeah. I'm always very tempted. Always very, very tempted to play it. How do you find like the game mechanics, like being able to apply it to have you ever applied it to like a different scenario or anything like that, or have you just played like within that 1000 Empty Light world? So yeah, another note here is, as you saw before with the character, like it kind of like adds or takes away skills. Yeah, I've used Mythic. I haven't used. I don't know about Motif, but yeah. Just so you know, another thing that can happen on some of these backgrounds is that you get like an additional trauma response. So for this enforcer background, is that you make a panic check at disadvantage each time you suffer a wound. So this is if you imagine like a Marine who's an enforcer, so you got this layered on thing, is that they would get their trauma response for the Marine and trauma response as well for the enforcer, which is fine, but I think, you know, the number of times that I've wardened and played in games that I've forgotten about trauma responses is yeah, there's a lot, let's say, quite a lot. But yeah. Yeah, exactly. But I find, like, you know, if you pay attention to it, then that's fine. And also on here, it has some extra notes about like, you know, what is this module best for? So it's like, you know, campaigns. It, you know, gives you a little bit of like a leg up with your character. And yeah, like you said before, just providing ideas really. And then also you can, you know, I don't know how long we were talking about that character, like 10 minutes or whatever. And, you know, we just came up with something on the spot. So that's very cool. And then what else is here? It just talks about, like, you know, if there are situations where you already have that skill and that was part of your like random class loadout that you got, is that, okay, well, what sort of like fair exchange of like, okay, well, I already had, for example, with that last one, if that character already had linguistics, what happens in that scenario? And then it talks about androids. So it talks about how, you know, if you're in a campaign, you can change things a little bit as well. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Do you have any other questions about Walks of Life? I think it's like, I'm pretty sure it's like $1. I'm pretty sure it's $1 on Itch. I'm pretty sure it's really cheap. Actually, the same person who put together this did Walks of Life. Sorry, did Akigata as well, which is very cool. Which is a great module. Yeah, it's simple, and it's especially if your players have played a couple of times before and they've just been creating their own character, and if they're like myself, it's like, well, I don't really care too much about the character, but I just want some inspiration, then this gives them a little bit, and you can, you know, it's a little bit easier to understand their motivations, especially if that's not your sort of like creative thing, I would say. So another thing that I wanted to look at was, I saw this on the subreddit, which is this space station generator, I think. So I'm not too sure if people saw this, but this was, yeah, I've come across to Obsidian. I wasn't really using much before, but I think I'm still getting used to it, to be honest. So, yeah, this was just like a little tool that I saw someone put on the subreddit, which was really cool, which is the space station generator. So yeah, if you want, you can, if you give me a couple of D6s and I'll do a couple of D6s and then we'll see what we get. How would I do D6s here? I got some physical dice, actually. One and okay, nice. All right, hold on. Just like drop half of the dice. All right, so I got a couple of 2s. 2 and 2. All right, so we'll go with your one first. So you first rolled a 1. So we've got hurtling through inhabited sectors propelled by a collision with a freighter long ago. Okay, so that's number 1. Hurtling after collision. All right. Number 2, adrift since the fracture of Earth's anti-expansion treaties. Okay, treatise. Okay, so adrift, let's say for a long time. You then rolled a 6. So spinning erratically in a cloud of its own components, recouping from a recent impact. Okay, so there's even 6. So spinning erratically after, we would have to say like another recent collision with something else. And then I rolled a 2, and then 2 elongated, semi-transparent worms suspended from the ceiling. Okay, nice. Okay, elongated, semi-transparent worms. I'm just like imagining like them sort of like swinging as the station goes around and around. Sounds kind of interesting, I think. I'm trying to think of a situation where like yep, for sure. Although I think it would be kind of interesting as a place where you have to try and retrieve something out of, and it's on a collision course towards something larger, where it it hit a freighter a long time ago, and what was it? He rolled a 6 down here. So yeah, spinning. And so it has to be like some sort of like old technology that maybe people really want. Yeah, exactly. Clock timer for sure. Cool. All right, let's do clock timer, salvage old tech. All right, you want to do another one? Let's do another couple, and then let's see what we come out with. All right, I have rolled a 3 and a 6. And we'll move it around so then we make sure that we get something completely different. 5 and a 2. All right. So we'll make that the first one 5 and the second one 2. So then that's different. All right, so 5, location, abandoned, mid-construction. Oh, okay. If you've mentioned it already or know about it, the Perilous Void. Oh yeah, cool. All right. No, I haven't heard of. I don't think I've heard of that. Perilous Void. Have I seen that? I don't think I've seen that before. Oh, that's why it's like part of like a collection. Okay. There's system agnostic as well. Cool. Have you used that ping 0? Okay, so abandon mid-construction. Okay. Threatened by the reach of a minor sun. So yeah, I guess they were worried about it going there, but for some reason it didn't. Haven't had the chance to use it yet. It's got cool, nice. Yeah, I imagine judging by it's like 168 pages. So so I hope it's got plenty of stuff for sure. Yeah, are there any tables that you're particularly interested in, Ping 0, that you're keen to try and use if you can? All right, let's see what we've got for age. Age is 3. So its emblems have disappeared from the frame, a result of millennia and deep space. Okay, so like faded. Maybe the emblems weren't even on there. Like they didn't, because I guess when you're building your ship, maybe that's the thing that would go on last. So faded emblems, like no longer, maybe like the company no longer exists. That was originally trying to build this thing. And that's partly why it's abandoned. All right, 2. Minute perforations have exposed the now frozen interior to extreme temperatures. Ooh, okay. Frozen interior. I mean, that kind of makes sense with the construction. Could. Ooh, yeah, that's kind of cool. I like your idea better. Slightly melted emblems. That's a way better idea than what I had. Slightly melted emblems of the company. Usually random encounters if needed. Yeah, that's cool. I think one thing that I find is that see if you can shoehorn like some of these tables in. See if you can put one into, even if it's like a pre-written module, and see if you can use it somehow. Yeah. Yes, definitely, absolutely. Of the company, frozen interior. I like the frozen interior. Due to being unfinished, so not necessarily for the perforations that it mentions. And then we've got a 6. Small crustacean-like organisms blanket an ancient corpse. Okay, ancient corpse and crustacean-like creatures. Yeah, that's quite true. That's quite true. Crustacean-like creatures. Maybe ancient corpse. True. It's a very good point. Ancient corpse. Ancient corpse. Yeah, that's true. Ancient corpse. What did it do? I guess like maybe seek. Ancient corpse. Yeah, like found shelter in the abandoned station. Oh, yeah, okay. Ancient corpse android. Found shelter in the abandoned station. Containing important data. Yeah, I do really like that. That's a lot of fun. That could be quite cool. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I love doing these things. Yeah. Ping 0. Is there? I wonder if there's like is there a table that could work here? Is there a table that you've got within that book, which is like maybe it's like items or like types of data? Yeah, that could be a lot of fun to see if that would come out. But yeah. Yes. So what other ones do they have here? They've got, so in terms of location, you got asteroid field, you got at the edge of Federation territory, Rebel watchtower, that's quite fun. Drifting amongst the wreckage of a distant war. That would be kind of cool. That would be interesting, like definitely like salvaging stuff. Rapidly succumbing to the inescapable pull of an airborne black hole. All right, so there's another like clock timer one. Age, forgotten artifacts, adrift. We had that one. The emblems boasts a new metal gleam. The station is yet to reach its centennial lip. Okay. Rod on mythic to see. Got separate nature. Sounds like Android data could be harvesting. Nice. I wouldn't have come up with that, but yeah, that's really cool. Separate nature. Yeah, I love mythic tables. They're so much fun. They're just so much fun. Separate nature. Separate nature. I mean, you could take it quite like literally to be something about like finding a new planet that has a very different environment, and that being like the separate part. Yeah. Yeah, ping 0, does it have you got any like table that's like close to this? Yeah, the Android, yeah, the harvesting souls. Yeah, yeah. Soul, someone. Yep. Yeah, that reminds me of I was watching something on Netflix. I think it's a series called Pantheon, I think. Pantheon, like this. And that has like uploaded consciousnesses, I think. So you get like the person's personality, but they try to make them digital. Random items table or random contraband. I don't know. Roll on both and see what comes up. We'll see what comes up. Maybe there's something else that could like fit in there. Ooh. Maybe that's the information that the corpse has, is maybe that links to the story of how it got there, how it like in being on this abandoned station. Yep. Yeah, all right. That even fills up more, right? So soul of someone important. By the way, thanks for the interaction as well. And I'm kind of forcing people to do roles, but yeah, thank you. I appreciate that a lot. It's a lot of fun, like creating these things. So if someone's like just come in, I'm just looking at this space station generator, and this was on the Mothership subreddit recently, I think in the past week maximum. And yeah, true, you do roll a lot. You have to. So this space station generator has location, age, condition, and encounter. And on the right hand side, I've got like the first one that we rolled out, which is one that's happening after a collision, adrift for a very long time, spinning erratically after another recent collision, and the encounter is these ungated semi-transparent worms, which just remind me of, I'm not sure these are in other countries, but of glowworms that we have in New Zealand. The second one, so this was like a clock timer salvage old tech before the station crashes into something. That sort of job, which sounds like quite a bit of fun, to be honest. And like the spinning erratically, like it would be kind of interesting how you do like that mechanically. And then the second station, we've got abandoned mid-construction, threatened by the reach of a minor sun, slightly melted emblems of the company, a frozen interior due to being unfinished, and we've got this ancient corpse and crustacean. I have not spelt that right at all. Crustacean-like creatures, ancient corpse found in a shelter, and ping 0 is going to give us some like items and stuff like that. So we've got what else? It's kind of, we haven't talked about the crustaceans yet either, so that could be interesting. So, oh, nice. Yep. Okay. Conditions important. Okay, so let's read this. So item, a psionic device, bounty, terrorist hijacker, contraband, WMDs. All right. So if I'm tying some of these things together, I'd say the bounty refers to who left the android in this situation, and that probably was a terrorist of some kind. My God, yes, of some kind. And then so terrorist hijacker. So let's terrorist hijacker. Then we had WMDs as the contraband. Contraband WMDs. And so yeah, that's quite true. I think, yeah, like not even letting them know what it is would be amazing. A psionic device of mass destruction. Like, yeah. Okay, so we have psionic. Is that even how you spell psionic? No, psionic. WMD. Then find out that the item that, yes, doesn't want to pay, has it pay? Yeah, I think the moral choice, like, so if they're not told about the item, like, how do they actually find out what it is? Idea of thorns. What is this? I don't know about this. Oh yeah. Yeah. This is very true. Yeah, I like that. I really like that. It's a lot of fun. W&D, but retrievers have no idea. Yeah. Oh, okay. Mimetic virus, nice. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that Gardens of Yin looks like a lot of fun. Yeah. So, yeah, knowledge of the device comes from the Android. Yeah, that's a lot of fun, man. Nice going, guys. That sounds like so much fun. Okay, let's talk about conditions a little bit because we didn't sort of talk about that too much. So I think it would be fun to deal with extreme heat and cold depending on what part of the station you're in. Some of it is degraded and heated from the sun, others are frozen. So yeah, frozen parts are open to space. Nice. That would be a lot of fun, I think. Yeah, what do we think about? Like, is there any logic to what parts are frozen and what parts are like hot? Is it because that it is still like near the sun, or are we sort of saying that it's like because it says like threatened by the reach of a once minor sun? Okay, so maybe it's just like the sun has like died or got like weaker and weaker really quickly. Yeah. And who's they in that situation? So who's the they trying to counteract it? Is it like the construction team that was trying to put this station together, or is it like the android trying to protect themselves? I like the second one. I like android trying to protect itself, and then it just couldn't survive like in the crazy conditions. So like it managed to manage that. Maybe there were some like rudimentary systems that they had put into the station already, and then that's how they true, that's it. Yeah, like the crustaceans are kind of like out of place here a little bit. Like maybe the crustaceans come from, wasn't this melted? Are we saying this crustaceans is maybe a clue to saying where the Android was. When this happened, maybe. Extreme heat outer areas of the station. Extreme cold with the Android connecting and trying. Ooh, I'm like behind. Trying to keep cool enough. Connecting to station systems. Yeah. Yeah, I like the drone thing. Maybe, yeah, maybe the drones. You could play that as maybe the Android managed to like salvage stuff from the construction site of the station itself and go from there, I think. So I'll put that as like an OR with Android jury-rigged the crustacean-like drones. And maybe that's what the players encounter at first. Like once they get into the part that is cold, that is when they come into contact with the drones. Yeah. Is there anything else that people would like to add to this? Like going back to our thing where it's just like abandoned mid-construction, threatened by the reach of a minor sun that affects open parts of the station. Slightly melted emblems of the company. I really like that. That's kind of cool. What have we got here? Frozen interior due to being unfinished conditions important. Frozen parts are no. We wanted to change that. Hot parts are open to space. Cold is Android protecting itself. We haven't actually established, like, it says like ancient corpse. Are we saying that the Android is still operational? Is that what we're saying? Yeah, that's a lot of fun, man. I didn't expect that to go that well, to be fair. But yeah, it looks like a lot of fun, man. Could explain that that's true, like a cryostasis type situation. Cryostasis-ish, something like that. Yeah. Oh, good, all good. So what are like real dangers here? So we've got dangers, the conditions, of course. So hot, cold, gravity, hot, cold, gravity. Well, let's just make this like 0G. What else? Oxygen, probably not breathable. Maybe a small part. So that fits with that. What are some of the other dangers though? So you got the Android itself. So Android, drones, at the moment, I'm thinking this is like the end result. This is like the consequence of something else happening. I think we're going to have to turn on my light. I think it's quite a cool setting, but I don't really know like how dangerous this is. Like would the random encounters be like pieces of the... Yeah, good point. So purpose of the ship. So are there any clues about... We've got location, age, condition, and encounters. Yeah, I'm wondering if there's... Is there like a table in that resource that you have that would be around like the purpose or something to do with like why something exists? Like why would a station be like purposely built near a sun? Like, you know, a sun's, you know, fairly permanent, so it wouldn't be like a surprise. So I think that, yeah, it's kind of tricky to figure out here. Random account, so like pieces of the station falling, you know, doors not working. Like, could you make this like procedural? Like, since it's under construction. Yeah. I think you could probably make this like procedural somehow, like where, you know, you find your entry point and then you can just like almost like randomly roll for like particular types of rooms or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, like why would something be built near a sun? like, I guess, yeah. Research, or just like straight up like energy generation. So can we tie like research, the research back to the like the WMD maybe? Can we tie it in some way where yeah, maybe it is about like the power, or like, yeah, I don't know. There's something here that could be a way to do it. Yeah, I'm not coming up with any ideas like directly here that would fit here, but what other dangers? You got conditions, the Android itself wants to be rescued or not. Drones to protect itself. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's probably the way to go. Yeah, it's like a mind-altering thing. Okay. So we're just looking at like the kind of like the dangers here, Raphael. So we've got dangers being the conditions, Android itself, question mark, drones to protect itself, also question mark. You know, this feels kind of like the consequence of other events. That's cool. I like that idea. Sun appeared from nowhere, and construction abandoned. So yeah, we're looking at you know, what sort of random encounters you might find, like this, like pieces of the station falling apart, doors not working. It's procedural. Something caused it to get altered and drove everyone crazy. Oh, like they were doing research and they were like pumping. Yeah, maybe they like interacted with the sun somehow. Yeah, I need to. Yeah, I need to play. Like, there's quite a few that have like tomb in the name as well. Actually, now that I think about it, appeared from nowhere, constructed band as a result. So I haven't written a scenario either, to be quite honest. But I think, yeah, there's a lot of you to like just like throwing things at the wall a lot. And there's, of course, there are people who are far more. There are people who like, for like a scenario for like your own like homebrew or whatever, then sure, there's no problem. But I wonder if there are like some people who might find like using random tables and then going, okay, I used a random table, I created this thing that I now sell, then I'm not too sure how that would work, but Yeah, I think these are like great just to get, like you were saying before about how getting the, forcing you into like some different ideas and things like this. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, for your own group, definitely, absolutely. Like, if you've got like a campaign going, or um, this would be like perfect to have that. You'd have to figure out like, how to join those things together. Like, okay, well, how do they get there? How do they? Um, oh yeah, absolutely. You'd have to put in like so much work, like tons of work, like to get to um, like a 2-page pamphlet. It's crazy, like how much work that is. It looks. That's. I think that's the the thing is that any of these like uh, tables as well, but mostly like the scenarios, they are like the boiled down essence of the idea and this thing that you've been playing around with for so long that you finally get it to a stage where it's like, okay, this is the crux, this is the essence of the idea, and this is how it's going to go. So yeah, for sure. Like same here. Like with the is this actually good? Sure. Like you yeah, I do too. Like especially like at the moment I'm creating a campaign and I'm like, okay, well how much do I prep like for this campaign? Do I just fly by the seat of my pants and go, all right, I'm gonna improvise with early sessions and then I'm gonna like create the world as it goes? Or do I go, okay, well here's like I'm gonna come with a general setting and do a lot of work on that setting and then people interact with it. So I think it's trying to find something where it kind of fits with your table and if your table will be interested in that. And so that's why I put in front of like the people from my campaign. It is on like these campaign frames. So you have like these sort of like general, like what types of things would you guys like to do? And so this is just in the Warden operations manual on page 42 and 3. So yeah, this is a good way, like if you want to ask people like straight out and go, all right, like what sort of stuff would you like to do? Yeah. And as a campaign, it kind of colors like, okay, well, what are the jobs that are available for these guys as well? Yeah. Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you do have to be prepared to throw it away. Um, like I think about a month ago, I was doing this like detailed thing, and I was like, nah, is this gonna fit? And I think in the last like couple of weeks, I've just gone, okay, well, this can exist in the world, but this might not be like their central piece, like their central hub or whatever. I was sort of like creating this thing. It's like, oh, this hub's going to be amazing. And then I got answers back about, what they want to do. And I'm like, I was sort of thinking like having characters do this or these types of tasks, but they've given me answers which are a little bit different. So I'm like, okay, well, this can still be in the world. Maybe it can be, I can just play that setup or hub as a NPC space station type thing, and then they interact with it that way, where maybe they're like competing with them to do particular things. Like I think my players were particularly interested in space truckers, crash landers, and hyperspace raiders. So I'm currently sort of getting my head around like, okay, what are these? What is included in these? What are these motivations and what are they not? And then if I can try and navigate, what would be a worthy campaign that I can put stories and chain stories together, especially if they're like episodic, like, okay, you go do one job, that's an episode, that's a session, and then you come back and then you do whatever like between session admin there might be. So that's sort of like the requirements for me. I just wanted to have something like that because I didn't really want to deal with like ship combat or anything like that. I just wanted something where they go somewhere or they've ended up somewhere, they have to do some stuff, and then they go back. So yeah. But yeah, I think that's the nature of that stuff, is that you just got to be prepared, like with throwing stuff away. But also, I find just like talking with other people is really useful. Like, like I'm on Discord, for example. So if you see me on Discord and you want to like throw some ideas at the wall, like I'm more than happy to answer people. Like I'm more like would be absolutely happy to talk about like being a soundboard about ideas that people have for like a campaign or a session or whatever. So yeah, definitely, absolutely. Yeah, and then they can ask you questions that maybe you hadn't thought about, like, oh, what happens if they do this? And it's like, oh yeah, if they do that, then I have to figure out how I maybe close that off, or maybe like have like a way, like some other route to do this particular thing. They're trying to do that particular task. So, but yeah, so that's what I would say to that. I mean, it's still new to me. I'm still learning to do this stuff myself. But yeah, I think that's a good way of doing things, and just like reaching out and going, yeah, hey, what do you think about this idea? No, don't be sorry at all. Like it's not a derail at all. Like it's completely on topic. So, and yeah, absolutely on topic. I'm more than happy to talk about those things. But yeah, I'm kind of happy with where that got to. I had some other things on my agenda, but I've been going for a couple of hours now, so yeah, maybe I can leave these for another session. So I think the same person put together some like a combat check failures and critical success table, which I was just curious about how that would play out. And then there's like these donjon generators that generate planets and systems and stuff like that as well. So kind of similar to your book, Ping Zero, I would say. But yeah, yeah, please, yeah, that's all good. That's not a problem. It's better than talking to myself. That is for sure. Yeah, you can find me on Discord. You should be able to find me. So on the Mothership Discord. Well, actually, like my Discord username is just this, like that. So you should be able to me just doing that. So yeah, definitely hit me up. I'm more than happy to talk about these things, and even if it's like a kernel of an idea, for sure. But yeah, I have to say the station sounds like a lot of fun. Cool. No worries. Yeah. You can even do that now. Just say hi. That'll be cool. But yeah, the station sounds really awesome. So mid-construction, threatened by a minor sun. That sun appeared for some reason. There's slightly melted emblems of the company. So questions about what the company did. Or were they just like how would you say? Were they just like an innocent bystander almost to this sun showing up? Or no, what did we say? No, the research thing, right? So research station. So we didn't clarify that. Frozen interior, so conditions are a problem. Then we had the android with their crustacean-like case of. Yeah, I think that's probably the way to go for it. I think that, like, yeah. So I think research station, digging too much, and like basically like playing with the power of the sun, and that would be the like that was the original sort of like trigger of like this horror. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Trying the core. Frozen interior due to being unfinished. Conditions important. So this makes it hard getting around. So a lot of like 0G, potentially this plate, hot, cold, 0G, not breathable. So it's going to be some hard. It's going to be interesting how to play that. Like, how do they traverse through the station? That would be really curious. How that would go. This ancient android. So the android, we're saying that has like some knowledge about what's going on. Maybe found shelter, or maybe it was just like left behind, perhaps. So soul of someone important. So that was with that separate thing, right? So maybe this is something like they were like the founders android, and there was a hostile takeover, either internal or external, of the station, and that's when they when the case of hubris came about. Yeah, I think it's probably like, it's either that they were they were just like a bond with the founder, or that it was like an uploaded consciousness. Man, my spelling is so terrible today. Consciousness. Something like that. And maybe that's where that separate nature soul thing comes from, is that there's some like strong connection with like the original founder of this company and research station. And then there was some hostile takeover from within the company or outside. And then they tried to take over the research and started doing their like, going too far, basically. So that sort of like bounty, it kind of refers to that. So we might have to sort of like, I don't know how to put this. Is there like, yeah, you guys like throwing all of these like references that I have to like double check if I actually know them or not. Silver. Oh, cyberpunk. Okay. Oh yeah, of course, right. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe something that's chained on after this is that the yeah. So that could be like they are aware of like that, who did it and who left them behind, and that could be something that the players assist the android in doing, something like that. Unwilling host to a separate consciousness. How would that play out? Like, I'd be curious to know like how that sort of works with, what's the idea here? Whereas like is it the android is that uploaded consciousness, or it's like schizophrenic, or yeah, I'm not too sure how that would work together. I'm curious about this idea though. And I guess another thing that we haven't talked about is what exactly psionic like psionic powers does this thing have? So and then who sends them in this case? Who sent? So I'm referring to where the main character is essentially a second personality inside from a dodgy. Nice. Okay. So how does that manifest? Like is it just like this? What would we say? The second personality, does it like take over at points in time for a temporary period of time, or like affect decisions, or like how does it sort of play out? Because I didn't get into Cyberpunk 77. Comes from knowledge of the device comes from Android. So what sort of like psionic powers are we talking about? Psionic. Manipulate reality, energy, or others' thoughts without physical means. Appears only to the MC. Enforcement. Oh, okay, depending on scenario. Okay, so you have it. Oh, okay. Yeah, that could be quite cool. Actually, I saw this really cool mechanic, actually, which was from this module, this one here that I showed earlier. I'm not too sure if you were here for this ping zero. Was this so you've been chump dumped? Has this really cool mechanic where effectively, if is that there is some like evolutions in this. Yeah, cool. Yeah, go for it. So with the, what happens is that there is this this weird how to put it like without completely ruining it. There is an enemy that if it is fed, then if it's fed, it evolves in some way. And so, for example, in this case, some evolutions are like its attacks are piercing, or it has more armor, or it has an extra wound, or it has like different attacks and things like that. And those evolutions happen on like a 1d10. So, for example, if it fed, so let's say there's some scenario where it's like good for so in the case of that monster, is like, you know, it eats something, and then by eating something, it gains some extra power. So I thought that was kind of like a cool thing where it's like, if this situation happens, then it becomes like a little bit stronger. Is probably the best way to put it. So yeah. So psionic powers, we're talking about telepathy, telekinesis, cognition, astral projection, energy manipulation, biokinesis, pyrokinesis, or cryokinesis. So yeah, so how did we get there from like a WMD though? I think that's the trick. Like WMD like gives the powers, or gives the powers to a select few, or it affects like everyone in some way, in some damaging way. Oh, I just had a thought. Yeah, it's true. Like you could say that it would be like used for. Yep. Yep, some sort of like spread of mimetic virus. Used for subtle. What about like subtle influence in like this is just something that I thought about, like corporate negotiations. So like basically having some sort of way of like influencing what people decide on, whether it be like in negotiations or like in a union strike type situation, and then the virus could spread within those people, especially if it's a union strike. That could be quite fun. Oh yeah, definitely above board. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like a lot of fun. I think so. Conditions, Android itself. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. That's what I was thinking. It turns everyone into a yes man. Absolutely. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. So other dangers. So yeah, who sent you, and who else wants it? Because I imagine there'll be a few people who would be quite keen on this type of technology. I would imagine. Yeah, is there anything else that you guys would like to flesh out a little bit, or are you kind of happy with where this got to? I'm very happy where this got to. All right. Where was I? Over here. Yeah. I think I agree here. Like, it would kind of like bog it down and would be only sort of like background context. And if you go super deep into that, then, you know, you're really trying to do a lot more there. And could feel very much like sort of like tangential to the actual thing. But yeah, there's a few different ways that you could do this, like whether there's another danger of like, you know, others trying to do the same, like trying to like compete to try and find this thing in the station because they're also going for it. But yeah. So out of nowhere, so construction as a result of hubris in research attempts. Yeah, cool. Well, if you guys are kind of happy, I'm very happy. But I think I will probably finish the stream there. That went far better than I expected, to be quite honest. And thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate, obviously, Rex Fiel and Ping Zero contributing so much. I will actually send these notes to you guys if you want on Discord. So you can, I can just like send them as they are, and I'll let you know if I end up like going on a little bit more, or turning it into like a mission somehow. I think it could be trying to figure out if it could fit into a campaign, the campaign that I'm trying to run, because it would be very cool to try and turn something like that into a session. Yeah, that would be very cool. Oh, you're very welcome, Ping Zero. Yeah, that was a bit of a experiment, that particular video, because it was more like a should I run type thing. Oh Oh, nice, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks. Well, I'm glad that was a good video. It's one of my favorites that I've done, just because it's sort of, it wasn't strictly sort of like the one of the early ones that many people it's not one of the modules that a lot of people play like straight away. It's kind of it's a little bit later generally. So yeah. Let me just grab that as well. Cool. All right. Yeah, some of those bundles are really good. I picked up, there was one that was, I didn't even realize it was going on until like I was found like a pamphlet that I really wanted, and then it was part of this larger group of pamphlets for like supporting Palestine or something like that. And it was, yeah, it was very cool. Yeah, I have to admit, it's quite different running it, because you kind of have to treat like the places that then they go to investigate, you have to treat it kind of like a shift. You have to say, okay, you're spending time here, and we're going to treat that as like part of your day. And it's just easier, because otherwise you're forever calculating every single action that they did, and then comparing it to the time triggers that go on. So yeah. And it's fun, like you can really get into like the characters and stuff, and then there's just so many triggers where like if this person dies, then this thing happens, and then they have to deal with that thing potentially. Like there's one where one of the triggers is if the scientist dies, then the reactor like goes haywire in about like 2 days or something like that. So yeah, the generator. I'll just give you the Reddit post here, and then also in the, oh no, it must have been a different one. Oh, I must have got those combat failures and checks in a different post. But yeah, that's that space station generator. Yeah, all good. No worries at all. Yeah, and if you want any like further advice or some questions that you have from, yes, I will. Yeah, if what was I going to say? I've forgotten what I was going to say now. If you've got any questions around like Picket Line Tango, and you just want to like, you know, if this happened, what would you do type thing, or you're like, I'm reading this, but I'm not too sure how this would like go in play, then yeah, just drop me a line. I'd be happy to answer any of those questions for sure. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to run. But it was very nice to meet you both, especially you two. And if anyone else is watching, I'm glad that you stuck around as well. It was a lot of fun. Definitely got a far better like result than I ever thought. And I love doing these things. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, just generating stuff from tables, you end up with some really great ideas. And it just goes to show, you know, we literally rolled 4d6 on that table, and that's what we ended up with, which is awesome. So thank you to both. And I'm sort of playing around with when to stream, but like I'm thinking like this time, and then I'm also thinking like on the weekend, like sort of early afternoon as well. Especially for people who don't get to play like every weekend, then that could be like a, you know, Mothership adjacent thing that they can do. But yeah, thanks for hanging around. Like the stream and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, it was an absolute pleasure to meet you both. So yeah, cool. Thanks, guys. See you later.